Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. Today I wanted to go over and talk about the overall state of the altcoin market. I wanted to go over the altcoin total market cap and compare it to two prior cycles that we've seen inside of cryptocurrency, as well as one of the other commodity markets that perfectly explain where cryptocurrency and the altcoin total market cap is at today. By watching this video, you guys are going to be able to understand exactly what to think about crypto long term, as well as on the short term, how much farther do we have left inside of this bear cycle before we actually start breaking off into new all-time highs. And on top of that, I'm also going to be talking about where I expect the altcoin total market cap to go as far as price targets go. This is all going to be happening over the next 3 to 6 months, and there's going to be a lot of explosive parabolic runs that are going to be had. If we time our investments right now, we have the great opportunity of making a significant amount of profit, which is what I wanted to explain to you in today's video. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure that you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. Remember guys, I also have an amazing Discord server that I would love to have everybody join. It's totally free for anybody that wants to. On this server, I have over 6,400 members and it's growing so fast. This is a really good way for you guys to actually congregate with the rest of my community and all of the people that follow my channel. On my Discord server, I also offer some of my more exclusive content like the video course and signals. The video course is 20 educational videos that teach you guys all of my strategies, all of the resources that I've learned from watching other analysts and paying for mentorship is all going to be taught to you guys inside of this 20-part video series. It's a really good resource for information, guys. I'm not going to lie. Literally everything that I've ever learned inside of crypto is in here for you guys to copy my exact strategies and learn how I profit every single day. Now, the signals are an awesome way for you guys to copy my portfolio as well as any shorter term trades that I'm taking. You guys will be able to know exactly what my portfolio is and how much I've allocated to each investment. Once you guys actually have that, I'm also going to be creating a scaling out plan for taking profits. So you guys are going to be able to copy that and make a lot of profit in the process. On top of that, through my portfolio management, you guys can actually direct message me on Discord and ask me any questions that you may have, and then I'll be able to help you out with whatever questions you have. With that being said, guys, help me get to a goal of 1,000 likes for this video. I know that this video is going to do really well because it's going to show exactly what I think is happening on a long-term basis for crypto, and it's going to perfectly explain my trading plan for how I'm going to actually tackle trading these markets. So make sure you guys show some support, smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and with all that being said, let's jump right in the video today. Alrighty guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the altcoin total market cap. We're going to be taking a look at the old Bitcoin cycle from 2013 to 2016. And then we're going to be taking a look at the silver chart as well. I wanted to go through here and talk about some things, but really all of these apply to the altcoin total market cap. I want to talk about this because it's really important that we understand what is happening with our altcoins. Are they going to continue to get held down and suppressed by Bitcoin, or are we going to actually see a breakout coming? I know that these altcoins have been ranging for a long period of time now, and that's why I really wanted to talk about some things here because I think that they're severely undervalued right now. Now, what I've noticed between the altcoin total market cap is that it actually looks a lot like the silver cycle and the early 2015 Bitcoin cycle. They all look very similar, and in my opinion, it looks like a hybrid of the two. So what I want to talk about today was what we could expect as far as an expansive move on the upside. What type of breakout are we going to see when we do get one? And then on top of that, we're also going to be looking at the corrective phases between these two cycles, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys how similar they are. So first off, before we get into my price targets and stuff like that, let's actually just dive into the correctional phases of these cycles so that we can talk about some important similarities and differences as well. Now, I've already gone through and put them on the chart here. Really what we want to talk about today is just the corrective phases. Now the one right here, this chart is actually the total altcoin market cap. The black one is the 2015 Bitcoin bear market. And then this one up at the top is the silver market cycle from about 1980 to the early 2000s. So we're going to go through here and analyze the cycles and how the corrective moves have actually looked almost identical. Obviously, there's differences, but that's why I believe that the altcoin total market cap is just a hybrid of the silver and the early Bitcoin cycle. And it makes sense because altcoins follow Bitcoin, so it would always make sense why the altcoin total market cap would follow closely to the last Bitcoin cycle. But what I find is really interesting is how it's actually followed even closer to the silver market cycle as well, which obviously makes sense because both are commodities and both happen to follow an outlying asset that outperforms, which to silver, that would be gold, and for altcoins, that would be Bitcoin. Now, let's go through here and talk about the actual similarities. Now, basically, we get the run up, and then we get the cycle high. After the cycle high, we start the bear cycle down, and we can see that this is pretty common amongst all three of these. Obviously, there has to be a start of a bear trend. And so then we start the first impulse down. Now, this first sell-off is found by a buyback, where we get rejected. Same thing happens on every single one of these charts here. And then we fall to one more low. Find that support, we bounce back up, and we get rejected once again. All three of these charts do the exact same thing. Before we fall to one more final, before we fall, make our third lower high actually, and then we end up rejecting here. And then we fall to the primary lows of capitulation. And this is really the lowest point in which the cycle goes, right? It's at this point right here. Now, after this point is where it gets interesting. So obviously there's similarities between all three of these cycles. There's hardly any difference here. We can see the exact same market structure. Obviously there's some differences as far as how price goes from here to here. To here was lower. Same with this one. But nonetheless, it's still roughly the same exact market structure. Now, after this point, we go through our sideways accumulation, and this is the part that's really interesting to me. So the sideways accumulation, if we look at the total altcoin market cap, looks identical to the Bitcoin cycle. The only difference here is the fact that the altcoins have actually accumulated about twice as long. Now, we go to our capitulation that happens right here. We rally up, we get rejected, and then we fall to retest the lows. We attempt to break out once again, we get rejected. And then we make our third attempt at these lows. So 1, 2, and 3. And this is before we actually start the impulse back up. And the same thing happened in the Bitcoin cycle. We find capitulation here. We rally, get rejected. We fall to retest that. Happens right here. We attempt to break out once again. We get rejected. And then we fall back down for a third time of those lows. And this is the exact same thing that's happened inside of the altcoin market cap as the same thing that happened in the 2015 cycle. Now, it's amazing because these two already looked identical. The only difference that we're seeing here is this accumulation in the altcoin total market cap and this accumulation inside of Bitcoin. The altcoin total market cap accumulated twice as long. So this is over 500 days. This was about 280 days. And so this is a lot longer of a sideways accumulation. But nonetheless, it still looks almost the exact same. There's a lot of similarities here between the two. Now, this is what takes me to the silver chart because the silver chart looks like a hybrid between the two. Now, like the silver chart and like the altcoin total market cap, once we hit these capitulation lows right here, we made one attempt to break out, which would have been like right here, and then we came back down to retest those lows. Now, this one was just a lot sideways, really didn't do anything. There really wasn't a high, there wasn't really a low. It just went sideways for a long period of time. And that's roughly the same of what we're seeing here inside of the altcoin total market cap. Now, even though the market structure itself from the altcoin total market cap looks more closely to the 2015 Bitcoin cycle, nonetheless, I think that it's following the silver cycle because it's a lot more elongated. This sideways accumulation that we're experiencing here in the altcoin total market cap resembles more closely to the silver cycle. And so even though the market structure itself may look closer to the 2015 Bitcoin cycle, the amount of time that we went sideways more closely resembles the silver cycle. But nonetheless, this is actually the biggest reason why I believe that all three of these charts are kind of one and the same. The altcoin total market cap looks like a hybrid of both of these two cycles, and that's why I'm personally bullish. That's why I personally just kept adding to my long-term positions, because I see way more reason to be bullish here. The way the market cycle looks, you know, there's going to be people out there that are going to doubt this. They're going to tell you that we're bearish. They're going to tell you that we're going to new lows. But the second that we take a look at the big macro trend that's unfolding, the second that we kind of zoom out and look from an aerial point of view, we're going to be able to see that all three of these cycles look identical, and there's really no reason to be super bearish. In my opinion, if all this COVID panic wasn't the thing that was going to sell us into new lows, then there isn't going to be anything. Unless we have an entire market collapse, entire, government collapse on top of that. And even then, I can still see arguments on why that's actually good for Bitcoin, because, if the fiat currencies start failing, where is that money going to go? It doesn't just disappear. That value has to go into something. Cryptos being deflationary assets, the majority of them, I believe that that's a perfect way for that money to actually go and translate. So with us seeing this cycle, more reason to be bullish, obviously. I make these videos to share with you guys the big picture trend because at this point, when we look at what's happening right here, there's no doubt in my eyes what's taking place. I mean, maybe in your guys' you still have a lot of doubts, but for me, I've been able to trade these market cycles, and what we're seeing here is the same market cycles I've traded before. It's just happening on a lot bigger of a time frame. Because the thing about market cycles, guys, is you'll be able to find these same sort of cycles and patterns that'll happen on shorter time frames. And instead of taking 2 years to develop, or in silver's case 30 years, they may only take a few hours or a few days or a few weeks or something along those lines, months even. And that's the thing about these cycles, you can find them on all time frames, and the reason why is because it's just human emotion. It's not some fancy indicator, it's not some institutional investor buying and selling, it's kind of the mix of everything. It's all the emotions that go into the markets. And what we're seeing here in the altcoins is really just the same emotions that have been translated amongst all previous markets for years and years. So that's my analysis here. Now let's actually dive into this and talk about some expansive thoughts as far as what we can expect to see when price actually starts to break out. And that's, I think, is going to be very important because, guys, if we go and take a look at Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin from the capitulation lows that we saw. Let's find our indicator tool. Where's it at? Oops. So the date range. So from the time we capitulated until the time we really started breaking out was 270 days approximately, 250 to 280, somewhere right around there. And then we ended up getting a decent sized impulse, but the impulse really wasn't that big. It was mainly just a slow build up on this new parabolic trend, which we can see formed right here. You can see that we went parabolic, we started on this trend line, and then we went into price discovery eventually. But it took a period of time of us consolidating and accumulating on this trend line before we actually went parabolic. Now, what's interesting to me is the fact that the altcoin total market cap does look very similar. Both of these cycles look almost identical. The only real difference here is the fact that this bottom structure in Bitcoin accumulated about half as fast or half as long as the one that we're seeing here. So if we go from the low to where we're currently sitting at over 517 days. So this is about double the length of time that we've went sideways. And that's why a little thought that keeps popping into my head, something to keep a note of here. The longer the accumulation, the greater the expansion. I'll say that again. The longer the accumulation, the greater the expansion. And that is very, very important to understand here. Now, obviously, if we would have sold through support here, with all this panic that recently took place, if we would have sold through support right there, that would have been the point in which we would have had a very big dump on the downside. In my opinion, if we would have sold through support during all the panic, we would have came all the way back down to, the previous cycle highs, close to that number, about right down in there. And so, because we accumulated so long, if we would have broke support, that downside expansion would have been pretty big, in my opinion. But we didn't break through that. And because of that, that makes me feel like there's a lot more buy support than people are actually believing so. And so, if we follow this trend, if we look at the Fibonacci here, Bitcoin, once we broke out of that accumulation, we went to about the 236 and didn't even hit the 382. And it took to the second impulse after the halving to actually come back up to this 618 level. Now, the thing is, guys, because we've accumulated about twice as long, I'm expecting that market structure is going to have a lot bigger of an impulse on the way up. And if we pull up our Fibonacci, let's talk about some things here. So if we pull up our Fibonacci, the Bitcoin cycle, when it impulsed, it went to about the 236 and ended up peaking just below this number here. And then we ended up breaking out and going closer up to the 618 in the next impulse. So this is kind of what the Bitcoin cycle looked like. Now, there's differences here, like the fact that we accumulated twice as long. So with that thought in mind, the longer the accumulation, the bigger the expansion. So let's keep that in mind here. And let's imagine what it would be like if we ended up just breaking out. Where is my tool here? Right here. So if we actually just end up breaking out, maybe instead of seeing an impulse like that, maybe we see an impulse something bigger. Maybe we go up and we end up impulsing upwards of the 618 all in one move. And I would not be the least bit surprised to see something like that. And the reason for that is because if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin hit that 618 level here. It was the second impulse. That second impulse, you know, because we've already taken double the length of time in accumulation, I'm expecting that the first impulse is going to be about like these two combined in Ethereum. I think that we won't need quite the same sideways accumulation like we did in Bitcoin because we already got that down here in Ethereum. All of this is a big length of time for accumulation. I don't see the need why we'd accumulate for 500 days only to peak right below the 382 and then have to come back down and, you know, go back up in that trend. I find that scenario less likely. I mean, maybe we have an a lot longer, maybe we have an elongated cycle, which, you know, that's something I've talked about, but I find that less likely. I think it's more probable that the next impulse is going to take us upwards of that 618. And this is going to be a very quick move, and it's going to shake a lot of people out. People aren't expecting this, especially not in the altcoins. Now, if we took a look at the silver cycle, let's pull up some Fibonacci here. Let's take a look at what happened with silver. Now, with silver, we ended up making an impulse of just below this 0.5 level. After this long accumulation phase, when we started breaking out, that first major impulse, our first Elliott wave impulse, looked something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Something along the lines of that. And then we had our correction, and that took us just below this 0.5 level. Now, you could make the argument that the altcoin total market cap may do the same thing. We might not go all the way to the 618. We might peak at this 0.5 level. Nonetheless, I believe that that's going to be a really strong impulse regardless. And I believe that that is going to be the next move that's actually coming inside of this cycle. And so it's important that we talk about these things. You know, this is 500 days, over 500 days of accumulation. When this breaks out, it's going to happen quickly. My guess is we'll see Bitcoin start to make its venture upwards of its all-time high. Once we hit close to that all-time high, we're going to see a big rally in the altcoins. Altcoins will start breaking out, and they'll go into price discovery. But nonetheless, guys, I believe that with altcoins being suppressed as long as they have, this next impulse is going to happen, and it's going to be very, very big. And so, realistically, my next target is going to be about, 300 bill in the altcoins. I think that's logical for the length of accumulation that we saw here. We don't really have a resistance until that point anyways, because we got rejected off this resistance, which was right here. So the next logical one is going to be up here. So that's what I'm watching for. I think we'll at least hit upwards of 300 bill. We could go even higher, upwards of the 618 level, which would be, 375 billion approximately. So keep in mind all of what's happening. Altcoins are going to pop off. They're undervalued. Now's the time to buy them. We just had the Bitcoin happening. Both times we've ever had that, that's been a major catalyst for price discovery. Why are you fighting the trend? Why are you bearish at the bottom? Ask yourself these questions and maybe you'll bring clarity to your vision. But overall, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, I also offer the video course in Signals. It's exclusive to my DIY investing server on Discord. If you guys want access, all you got to do is join. Click in the description of this video. There you're going to find the invitation link. Join through there. Once you guys have access and you want to learn further about the exclusive content, shoot me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.